They took this case to the Supreme Court, saying Texas has no right to legislate where and when and how you can have an abortion and to what standards. Yes, it does. The Constitution specifically says the powers not derived in the Constitution, not specifically spelled out, are left back to the states. So the state of Texas says you can't have an abortion unless you have it in a clinic with a medical doctor within such and such a miles from a hospital in case anything goes wrong. We're not going to have gazonelles and incidents like that happen in this state. The left challenged it, made a big stink about it, filibustered it. Obviously, they didn't read the Constitution. The Supreme Court stuck by it. The constitutional conservatives ruled in favor of it and said Texas has the right to do this. Constitutional liberals didn't. Very straight party line vote. It's not because they're Democrats or conservatives. I mean, Democrats or Republicans. It's because that's their interpretation of the Constitution. Conservatives go by the letter of the law, specifics. They say, hey, listen, they never intended the federal government to establish a standard for abortion. Now, the left really stepped on its dick with this one, because here's what's going to happen. States have now been given carte blanche to regulate abortion in any way they see fit, virtually shutting down the industry if they want to in their state. Now, liberals will howl and say, you can't do that. Yes, you can. There is no constitutional standard. By the same right that the Constitution does not specifically forbid abortion, that also means that the states are reserved the right to regulate it. They should have never taken this case to the Supreme Court, and I said so several months ago on this show. I said they should not take this case to the Supreme Court because it will establish a constitutional standard of what abortion constitutes, what it is, and how it's regulated. Up to this point, there was no ruling on it. They should have just let it alone. Instead, they decided to press the issue. Don't forget, it's the liberal mantra that says government can regulate everything, isn't it? The government is virtually destroying several industries. There was a story on Fox News about the inventor and the entrepreneur who built the buckyball business. Do you remember buckyballs? Buckyballs were little magnetic balls that stuck together, and you could put in shapes. And it was the thing you kept on your desk to keep you busy while the boss was blathering on about something. That's what you sit there and you play with your buckyballs. So they virtually destroyed this industry because apparently little kids would take the buckyballs, swallow them, and it would do significant damage to them because it sticks to the internal organs and they get loose in the body and you can't carve them out of somebody. So they were like, over the last 10 years, there's been like 1,000 kids killed by buckyballs. So buckyballs said, hey, listen, we'll help you develop a standard to regulate this to keep these things out of the hands of kids. It's not a kid's product. It's for adults. It's an office thing. The kids were eating it. So what did they do? They regulated that industry right out of business. They told Bucky, and now they're going after him personally. That was in the Fox News today. So there's an established standard that government can regulate an industry in any way it sees fit. That's in the Constitution. It can pass any law specific to industry. It regulates interstate commerce. Buckyballs are sold interstate. So I knew they couldn't win the case, but at the same time, it's the same argument, isn't it? Why is it that the government can regulate buckyballs but can't regulate abortion? The Constitution and the Supreme Court are on my side. There is nothing that says that. And I knew that. But now, states who are on the fence, red states, and were looking at this from a legal point of view will now go forward with their regulations. You watch. Other red states will start saying you can do abortions this way, you can do abortions that way. You can't have an abortion under 18, under 16, under 15, or whatever regulation they want to put. They can virtually regulate a business right out of business. They can. State has the power to do that, and it's going to happen, which will get back to the original way that abortion should be handled, a states' rights issue. If California wants to have an abortion, that's their right. If New Mexico doesn't want to have it, it's their right. Only just now, we had to spend 30 years and blown up people in abortion clinics and violent attacks in order to establish that basic constitutional standard. It's such nonsense, really. That's what's causing all this pain in this country, is the refusal. We got another lighting issue. It's the refusal of the federal government to just let the states regulate themselves. That's really what it's all about. If we had gone back to that and established that, then none of these people would be at each other's throats. We've got to go to a commercial break. When we get back,